Hi, my name is Jimmy Standrich. I grew up in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I lived there from 1976 to 1994. I wanted to tell you about a moment in history that was never in any of my history books. I actually heard about this event in 2001 or 2002 while living and working in Greenville, South Carolina. I was at work having a conversation with one of my friends regarding the differences between the way I grew up and the way he grew up living in the Southeast. And he actually educated me about a piece of Oklahoma history that was never in any of my Oklahoma history books. I want to tell you about it. The event is known by a couple of different things, one of which is the Tulsa Race Riots of 1921. It's also informally known as the bombing of Black Wall Street. The area referred to as Black Wall Street in the early 1900s is actually the Greenwood District, which is on the northern side of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it's an area that at the time was the most affluent African-American communities in the United States. It was a very tight-knit community of affluent businesses and people that basically had their own network of doing business and was doing very well, very prosperous. It was mainly a commercial district with grocery stores, newspapers, movie theaters, nightclubs, churches, their own bus systems. The newspapers were owned by African Americans. The bus system was owned by African Americans. They had their own community leaders. It was such a tight-knit community that some people would actually say that a dollar would circulate 36 to 100 times before it even left the community. There's a very renowned R&B band that actually took their name from the area, the Gap Band. The Gap is GAP, comes from the three main roads in the area: Greenwood Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare, and Archer and Pine Streets that intersect. The event started on May the 30th of 1921 when a 19-year-old African-American male shoeshine was accused of assaulting a 17-year-old Caucasian female elevator operator. By the morning of May the 31st, the young man was apprehended at his home and arrested and charged with assault. By later in that afternoon, a newspaper article from one of the big newspapers in Tulsa had printed an inflammatory article regarding the arrest, and in an editorial note alluded to a potential for a lynching at the courthouse. By that afternoon, the courthouse was surrounded by hundreds of Caucasian men and women essentially calling for the lynching of this young man. And the sheriff and the deputies did their best to fend off the crowd and to quell the crowd and to keep peace. But they were very concerned. By that afternoon also, a group of African-American male men came up to defend this young man because they had every right to believe that something like that could happen, because there had been lynchings in the area very, very recently, actually. The sheriff did his very best to fend off the crowd and to keep peace, but unfortunately by the morning there were gunfights in the streets. There were buildings set ablaze. There was houses, businesses, libraries, hospitals, churches, all set ablaze and leveled due to the catastrophe and the violence. And people ultimately not only just lost their lives, but they lost their livelihoods. The official record says there was only 39 people that were actually killed in the event, but many believe that there was many more people than that. Until 1996, there was no formal recognition of this event even happening. It wasn't until then, when the state legislation started, to even formally recognize the historical fact that this event even occurred. It took until 2001 for the bill to make it through the House, and it wasn't until 2010 before there was a memorial even established for the people affected by this event. And ultimately, the reason why I want to talk about this is it's really just unfortunate that we ever lived in an environment where we could have this information kept from us. And with all of the events going on currently in our world right now, I'm just very thankful that we have the technology and the means and the resources to be able to learn about these facts and to be able to come out way ahead of time and not be kept quiet for 80 plus years. And I just want to caution everyone and to use the things that are out there, use the technology, use the tools that are out there to educate yourself. Don't rely on just basic means of education. Thank you for your time.